Greetings, everyone. My name is Orion, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm here today to show you a little about UPA style, and I'll show you the process of how I approached a UPA-inspired background design for the project called the Super Posh Club. And also, hello to all my teammates specifically, because this video is for y'all, but I'm uploading it to YouTube too, in case it can help anyone else. Thanks for all your hard work. Let's dive right in. What is UPA style? UPA style stands for United Productions of America. They were a small animation studio that grew larger during the 1940s through the 1970s, and they had an iconic style that was the solution to limited animation, as they pretty much pioneered the idea of limited animation in general. Um, there's this cool site that I will send to y'all. It's this one here that has all these cool videos, and you can check them out. And they have a lot more about the history of it if you want to get into that. Um, but we'll talk about the general thing about what makes UPA style and how it's going to apply to our stylization of stuff for the Super Posh Club. So let's look at some reference. So UPA style's got three key things that I've boiled it down to personally: is bold shapes, the stylization that is simplification of life, and is the opposite of the Disney realism approach, and the limited. It's for limited animation. So it's a style that can be easily animated and moved around, and um, isn't something that's going to be expensive to animate. Essentially, it's something that is a solution like the Disney stuff that was pretty much dominating the industry at that point. Um, it made animation more accessible. UPA did, and made it available for a lot more people to approach it because of the simplification of the style. Here's first the background that we are going to be doing. This is just the final to show what it will look like, and then we'll go through the process of how I made this. And this is just my approach to the UPA style with a more lineless approach like Stephen requested for us to do. So we'll just jump right in to go into the process. So let's go. So the first thing with the process here is I'm using the lasso tool, and also the polygonal selection tool where you can pin your points and it's perfect. So I'm going through here and we're putting down some colors, and it's all going to be on separate layers too. You can see where I'm doing the separate layers on the side, and it's going to keep everything organized. So then if we need to change the palette of this bar scene, and make it into the blue color palette choice that we had a little option for before, that we'd be able to do that. Next is just checking out the style of the sketch and seeing how I tried to digest things. Uh, you definitely put your own flair on it for sure, which is just going to generally happen whenever you do anything, so you don't have to think about it too much. But the sketch here is like still grounded in reality, but it's just that super stylization where it's takes on a flat perspective, like a flat end perspective. Like there's still a sense of perspective to it, but it's very two dimensional still. Here I'm choosing different colors for the walls and going with I'm trying to do lower saturated colors for the back part, the farther back part, and higher saturated colors for the front part here. Here's where we made more space, and we decided to bring the door out a little bit and bring more stuff into the space. And then we added the posters with just, I thought that like Curls had a personality, that he would definitely have posters of himself in his bar. But then there's a Berta poster there too. like of her working out or something. I don't know. And then we had to have a disco ball. It wasn't in use right now, but it's just kind of like glimmering there anyway. It will be. Lighting is going to be another thing that's important. Our light bulbs here are going to be our main light source, so we're going to have those be this pink kind of purple lavender light coming through, and that's like what's mostly lighting this room up in that color. Here we're making a bead curtain, and it's because it's the 70s, and that's what our setting is. So we're just keeping it discreet though. We're doing just one color that has a little bit of shadow of purple in it, so that won't distract too much. And then we've got these little curtain things that are holding it back. So there will be times that you'll want to turn off your sketch just to be able to really get a grip on like what it actually looks like. So then that's why I just turned it off and just went forward on this here. Balloon time! I struggled with finding a shape for these balloons that I like, and I ended up changing them a lot, but I liked what we found in the end. Also, something we want to keep in mind is the saturation of the piece and where how saturated the characters are compared to them. The characters will be the most saturated thing on the screen, so we'll have to keep the backgrounds at least a little bit muted and a little bit more pastel. But in the individual piece here, I want the stuff closer to the front to be more saturated, and then the stuff that's at the back to be a little less saturated. Now here I really struggled with making these faucets appealing and stay not too detailed, but also stay in the style for UPA. So I eventually just got rid of them, and then I went and just drew another version of it. So I'll show you a quick tip that a friend showed me. And they told me that if you go to the layer of the liner and use the magic wand tool and select everything on the outside of the liner with it and make sure all the lines are closed off. So you just make sure that everything's closed off and then clean up any stuff. And then re-select everything on the outside. You'll go to the layer underneath the liner, which is the empty, and then you'll just Control-Shift-I, and then it'll make it invert for you, and then you just fill it in, and there you go. Now you can turn on the lock transparency tool and be able to draw on top of your fill-in lines. And it's awesome. Now, I could have made these bones white, but then they would have commanded way too much attention away from the characters, I thought. And also here I tested a little bit of the I turned off some of the channels to test the values of this. It's good to go to grayscale. But yeah, the bones, they don't need to be white or else they'll command too much attention. This little martini glass is probably my favorite thing to illustrate in this. A dog's favorite drink is agua de toilette. Here we came back to clean up all of the posters because they were pretty sketchy since we drew them from far away. So we come in here and just kind of clean everything up and make it more legible. for some last touches, we added the balloons in the back to give some more depth to the balloons just being there so they don't feel too flat. Some last details. Add all the bottles in. We lost the footage for that, sorry. And then we're going to add in a little board here that has the drink specials. And get some wear and tear on that chalk. Now we're going to put a character in it, and we'll call that done. So there's how we did the UPA inspired background design. We're going to get curls in here. He's going to be representative of like the palette of the characters. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope if you have any questions, feel free to comment or ask me directly. And hopefully you have a great time drawing. Farewell.